Okay, so Mayor McKay,
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Here.
Councilmember Amundson. Council Amundson.
Here,
Okay,
here,
great.
sorry.
No problem. Councilmember Hartman
Here.
and Councilmember Jablonski.
Here.
We have a quorum there.
Okay, can we please stand for the pledge if you'd lead it?
Sure, Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Russell. Okay, Andy, you want to go or?
Yeah,
Marty?
sure. Yeah, no, before I throw it to Marty, Mayor, first of all, I just want to say that tonight is our second public budget hearing, which is the final step in this process. As you know, you all set the solid waste assessment and the fire assessment at the previous meeting. You also had the first reading of the millage and the budget itself. Both of those items require a second reading, and they're back for tonight, just millage and the budget itself. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for your hard work throughout a very difficult budget process. Marty has led the town staff through an exercise here that certainly has been quite a challenge. But again, I want to thank you all for your support and your input throughout that process. And if I may, Mayor, there is a statement I do need to put on the record, and if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read that into the record before I turn it over to Marty to do his presentation.
Go right ahead.
And let me turn off my video, just make sure I don't have a problem.
Section 2, paragraph 1. The first item to be discussed tonight is the percentage increase, if any, millage, rollback rate, and why.
Andy,
We can't
that
hear you
actually
very
made
well.
it worse.
1. The town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, is considering a levy of
Andy?
Andy. Hello?
Yeah.
Andy, you got to start over because we couldn't hear any of that beginning part at all.
My apologies, I will start it again.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Florida State Statutes 200.06.
Nope.
Section 2, paragraph
Andy,
1.
Hello.
Still can't hear that.
Andy,
We're having a problem. Okay.
yeah, we're not hearing you.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded for you, but I'll go old school and we'll read it for you.
Okay.
Okay, so pursuant to Florida statute 200.065, section 2, paragraph E1, the first item to be discussed tonight is the percentage increase, if any, in millage over the rollback rate and why. For fiscal year 2020-2021, the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, is considering a levy of 4.2500 mils, which is lower than a rollback rate of 4.4558 mils by minus 4.62%. Actually, property owners with no change in their net taxable value will receive a real cash reduction of 8.73% in their town of Southwest Ranches portion of their tax bill due to the reduction in the millage rate from 4.6564 mils to 4.2500 mils. Although the town does have annual increases primarily from higher contractual costs pertaining to the fourth year of a 5-year public safety services contract for both police and fire rescue, these expenses are able to be strategically offset to enable the town to lower the millage rate from the prior fiscal year via the following. Number one, our transportation surface drainage ongoing rehabilitation project, otherwise known as TSDUA, is eligible for Mobility Advancement Program, otherwise known as the Transportation Surtax Awards. Therefore, it does not require funding via millage for the upcoming fiscal year. 2, the current economic environment due to the COVID-19 pandemic supports a reduction in millage. 3, the growth in net new taxable value of almost 32 million, representing 33% of the 6.58 in total townwide growth, is a new record for Southwest Ranches. Number 4, the lower debt interest expense due to FEMA and Florida Department of Emergency Management reimbursement for both Hurricanes Irma and Dorian, allowing for full payoff of our outstanding emergency line of credit. 5, a newly adopted fire assessment methodology study reduced the allocable cost impact to the general fund. 6, quality of life and level of service improvements Millage-funded program modifications are less in number and dollar scope. And capital improvement projects, otherwise known as CIPs, millage-funded CIPs are also less in number and dollar scope. Finally, this budget provides for the funding of some program modifications, including quality of life and service level improvements, public safety, parks, recreation, and open space, and other transportation capital improvements. After numerous advisory board meetings, council discussions, and a budget workshop, the revised budget totals $18,306,738. This includes a general fund budget totaling $13,315,023, just over half of which provides for police, fire protection, and rescue services. A capital projects funds budget totaling $240,039 to not just maintain our facilities, but also improve our public safety, as well as parks, recreation, and open space infrastructure. Special revenue funds budget comprising of the transportation fund totaling $1,499,668 to maintain as well as improve streets, roadways, and drainage, and the volunteer fire fund totaling $233,768. A debt service fund budget totaling $1,304,655, which provides for 1 year of principal and interest payments on the existing loans, as well as a provision for future debt service. And finally, an enterprise fund comprised of the solid waste, bulk waste, and recycling utilities budget totaling $1,713,585. The millage rate and budget require 2 public hearings. The initial hearing was held on Monday, September 14th, 2020 at 6 p.m. The final hearing and adoption is scheduled for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Is it
Now,
Marty's
I'd like to
turn?
turn it over to Marty for his presentation.
Okay, Marty, you're up.
Okay, thank you, Town Administrator Andy Burns. Welcome, council members, mayor, vice mayor, and residents of the town of Southwest Ranches. We have a 2-part adoption procedure. We are required by Florida statute to adopt our millage first. Then we're going to move into our final budget adoption. I'm going to turn the majority of all the PowerPoints over to Controller Rich Strum. We'll have the liberty and freedom, and I will be directing the PowerPoint slides. These slides have been distributed to you all. If those that are participating have interest, they can find it on our website, southwestranches.org. They'll, within the finance area, the PowerPoint has been posted. It's been there for a couple days. I'll give you a little time, and then I will move to slide 2. And we need, at this point, I would like Town Clerk Russell to read in the resolution for the millage, please.
Okay, this is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving and adopting the final millage rate for taxation of real and personal property lying within the boundaries of the Town of Southwest Ranches for the 2020 through 2021 fiscal year, commencing October 1st, 2020 and ending September 30th, 2021, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
All right. Thank you, Assistant Town Administrator and Town Clerk Russell Muniz. I'm turning it over to Rich. Go right ahead, Rich.
Great. Thank you, Town Financial Administrator Marty. Thank you, Mayor Doug McKay, Vice Mayor Dee Schroeder, Town Council members Delsa Amundson, Bob Hartman, Gary Jablonski, and Town Administrator Andy Burns. Welcome to the second public hearing tonight, September 24th, 2020, where we will go over the final millage and final budget for adoption for fiscal year 2020-2021. First, we will go over the final millage adoption. Please note that there are no changes in this presentation as compared to the first public hearing on September 14th, 2020. Next slide, Marty. First, below is what we're going to discuss regarding our property tax millage introduction. We're going to compare our municipal rates. Then we are presenting the Southwest Ranch historical and proposed millage rates. And then lastly, we're going to discuss the Southwest Ranches millage percentage to overlap total direct and overlapping millage. Currently, fiscal year 2020, Southwest Ranches operating millage plus Tisdor is the 7th lowest combined operating and debt millage rate in Broward County, excluding unincorporated Broward County. The initial fiscal year 2021 millage rate favorably moves the relative position Southwest Ranches to 5th lowest of 31 municipalities, as you will see on the next slide. Also, accordingly, the relative position of Southwest Ranches among Broward County municipalities is favorably lowered to almost within the upper 16th percentile, 16.13 to be exact. Again, as you will see on the next slide, 26 municipalities, or 83.87%, are proposing millage rates higher than Southwest Ranches for fiscal year 2020-2021. This slide shows the combined proposed millages of all municipalities in Broward County. As discussed previously, Southwest Ranches is the 5th lowest of the proposed fiscal year 2021, whereas in fiscal year 2020, we were the 7th lowest. So a modest improvement, it's something to be very proud of here. You will also see that over 2/3 of the Broward County municipalities have a millage rate of over 6, with the highest one, Lauderhill, topping at over 10.7 mils. The next slide shows the Southwest Ranches total millage of 4.2500 in correlation to the overall direct and overlapping millage of 17.3330, which includes the Broward County and the Broward County School Board. This 24.52%, which is highlighted in yellow, is the only money that the town of Southwest Ranches receives from your tax bill for ad valorem. Most of the other monies that get paid out go to Broward County and the Broward County School Board. Please note that the property owners, that the property owners are also subject to Southwest Ranch Broward Drainage District and Central Broward Water Management District assessments that are not millage based. This slide gives us a year-to-year millage rate comparison over the last 7 years for Southwest Ranches. As you can see, for fiscal year 2020-2021, the proposed rate of 4.2500 will be lower than that of the millage rate for fiscal year 2015 of 4.2719. So our millage rate is lower than where it was 7 years ago, or proposed millage rate. Plus, you can also see the downward trend over the last 2 fiscal years. That's all I have for you, Mayor. Any comments or questions voting from the town council? Thank you.
Okay. Marty, anything else?
Do we need a motion to approve, Mayor?
No,
we do.
just open public hearing now, Mayor.
Oh, you needed a motion.
We need a motion first, I think.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to approve the millage rate as presented.
Okay, and we got a second from Vice Mayor Schroeder over the phone just a moment ago. Correct, Vice Mayor Schroeder?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Public comment? Anybody have their hand raised?
We have 2 people with their hands raised,
Okay.
Mayor. Call on those people. All right, the first speaker, Mayor, I have is Lori Parrish.
Okay.
Okay, let me just get her to unmute. Ms. Parrish, can you hear us?
You've got me muted.
Ms. Parrish?
You have,
No?
No, we can hear you now.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Ms. Parrish?
you hear me?
Ms. Parrish?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Yes,
can you
we can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I appreciate the comments with respect to the millage rate. If you take our millage rate and compare it with the fees we're being charged, I don't think our numbers would look so good. But one of my concerns is the fire fee, because the fees are part of the overall budget. And the fact that we were told it couldn't be changed last week because there wasn't time. So it means the public gets a notice and they can't change it. What I would like to ask is, why is it the property next door to Town Hall has a building on it that's assessed at $362,200. It's not classified as residential. It's classified as 68 or 69, which is a nursery ornamental. Why did that building receive a $629.14 fire fee instead of being assessed at over $10,000? Because we were told, well, if they were over $10,000, we assessed them. That yet everybody that had one under 10 didn't receive anything, and the ones that were assessed over 10 didn't even get the credit of the 10, but the one next door is assessed at $362,200. So why does it have a $629.14 fee? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Mr. Sherwood, do you have the answer to that?
Mayor, you
Yeah.
give me permission
Yeah, Mayor,
to,
we should hold on answering public
Let's hold on
comments
the
until
answer. We'll
public
answer them
comment is
all at the end.
Well, but it's about the overall.
I
it's about
understand,
the
but we don't want to
overall
go
budget.
back and forth with it. And we just want to answer it as we move forward and let other people have their questions, and we'll answer them all when everybody's completed.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, so we'll move on to the next speaker. A reminder that each speaker has 2 minutes to speak on this particular item. The next speaker, Mayor, is Steve Brykers.
Okay.
Mr. Brykers, are you
Yes,
there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. Just a couple of comments. The first one is I want to just make a comment that it's good to see the millage this low, but it drives home the point that we don't need to choose between being rural and having low taxes. We don't need the commercial. It's not required to get low taxes. We can have low taxes without commercial. And so don't let anybody talk you into the fact that somehow we need commercial just to have low taxes. That's not true. And then the other thing is I just wanted to kind of reiterate where Lori's going, that there is a real element of these assessments not being fair. And I'm not even sure I think other speakers are going to speak to it, so I won't go into detail, but I'm not even sure it's legal. So we need to take a look at that. We need to look at how we can support our ag folks. We should not be putting them in situations where they need to sue the town just to be able to assert their legal rights. We've done that in the past. We should learn from that. It should not happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brykers. Okay. The next speaker, Mayor, is David Kaczynski. Mr. Kaczynski, can you hear us?
I certainly can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Fabulous. All right. The millage rate, it sounds all nice, lovely, great work, administration, good job. My concerns have to do also with the, it appears that the fire tax is being, or the fire fee is being applied unequally, where I remember sitting in at the fire board meeting where the motion was made that treat all the properties equally, and this fire fee assessment is not applied equally. That's the point about the fire fee. And then the last part is, once again, it shows that commercial is not really necessary for us to keep a low tax base. The commercial will only bring more and more problems. So I think it shows that we do not need commercial, but the fire fee is being applied unequally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. Okay, Mayor, I just want to make sure, I know that Mr. Hollingsworth had contacted me earlier today, saying that he wished to speak, and I just want to make sure if it was this meeting or the next meeting. So let me just call on him first. Mr. Hollingsworth, can you hear us?
Yes, this is Noel Hollingsworth. I wanted to speak at the regular meeting under public comment.
Okay, very good. I'll call on you then. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I have one other speaker, Mayor, and that is Jim Albritton. Mr. Albritton, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I have a
Yeah, 2
quick
minutes.
question. The fire assessment board that I sat on along with several other residents and stuff, is that board, has it been disbanded, or can that board get back together to see if something can't be worked out, a compromise to be worked out and adjust this so that, you know, it works out for everybody? Has that board been disbanded?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mayor, we have no other speakers on this particular item.
All right, back to the council. Any comments?
Just we talked about this obviously at the last budget meeting. It was a big topic. I know that we had asked Chris Wallace to go back and try to work this out. Andy or Marty, maybe you can give us an update in terms of what the game plan is going forward.
Yeah, sure, council member. I just want to let you know, we have spoken with Chris Wallace, who is consulting with his legal counsel who drafted the legal aspects of that fire study. So we have asked them to go back and review it. We're waiting on a response from them right now.
So earlier, Andy, I had forwarded a letter from the Chief Counsel of the Department of Agriculture with some points on fairness. And I think Steve Bracruz made the comment about, we don't want to be sued. Can we make accommodations? And this may be also a Keith question, but can we make accommodations for these folks? Personally, I don't believe it's fair, and I think Lori highlighted why it's not fair. I know we're not responsible for assessing the properties, but how can we make this right for these people? Because again, we talked about it last time. I don't want to go over the same ground again, but from 500 and change for fire fee to 5,000 doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
The only thing I'll add to that is that letter will be shared with them as well for part of that review. And we will obviously get back to you once we have that information. I just don't have that at this time, but I understand that the concern, and it is being reviewed.
Thank you. Let me just throw one more out there, and I don't know if anybody here can answer it. I'm assuming that people have to pay their taxes. They can't get away with not paying their taxes. If we make an adjustment later on, I'm hoping that would be retroactive back to the folks that are being impacted right now. And we're not just going to take that money and make the adjustment next year. How would that work out?
I don't know how that review is going to shake out. So pending that, it's hard for me to comment further. Once again, I understand your concern, but I don't know how that's going to play out and where we'll find ourselves, but we will certainly adjust accordingly. I'm not sure what else to say, council member.
Thank you.
All right. No additional comments or questions?
No, Mayor.
Call the question, please.
Okay, Councilmember Amundson.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear everybody's vote.
Everybody has voted yes so far. You're the fourth vote that we're on.
Yes, yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Mayor, I have one thing to add before you close the budget hearing tonight.
Okay, Go ahead.
And that is when we looked at the Sun Sentinel advertisement for the budget.
Keith, can I
Yeah.
interrupt you for 1 second? I'm sorry. We do still have the budget ordinance on second reading that we have to do as well.
Okay, so I can make this announcement at either time.
Okay, I just wanted you to let.
We're at halftime.
Right, so I was
Okay.
going to announce it between the two, which is okay.
Okay.
The actual item that I guess is coming back before you, the budget, when we looked at the Sun Sentinel advertisement, the law states that the ads need to be side by side. And for whatever reason, the Sun Sentinel decided to put one on one page and one on another page. So as a result, what we're going to do, because it was fully advertised, we're going to have the full budget meeting tonight and seek your approval. And if approved, we're just going to incorporate by reference everything said at this meeting for a quick meeting on Tuesday night, just to ratify the decision so that the town has no infractions. The Sun Sentinel is re-advertising it at their cost, and it does nothing different from the town, except for it avoids a potential infraction because they failed to run the ad side by side. So we're asking you to go forward with this second hearing tonight, and then we will adopt or re-adopt everything that occurred at a hopefully very short meeting on Tuesday.
Okay, what time is that on Tuesday?
I would stay with the same 6 p.m. Mayor. I think that's what we've advertised for 6 p.m.
That is correct.
And just to add to what Keith said, we had considered moving tonight's meeting until then, but we felt that because we had advertised it to our public, to the residents, that the meeting would be held tonight, we felt it was imperative to proceed as had been promoted, scheduled.
Okay,
Mayor, can I
Okay.
ask a quick question?
go ahead.
So we said we were going to answer the residents' questions after they had asked, and I guess we deliberated, and
I was
nobody
waiting for
answered.
Marty. Yeah,
Nobody
Marty
answered.
to answer. Marty can't answer it now.
Yeah,
But we already voted, right?
Yeah, but we weren't not gonna vote anyway, but I hear what you're saying. It
Yeah,
still gives they want an answer. We'll let Marty give them an answer.
thank you, Mayor, council members. We are researching the matter, as Andy indicated. If anything comes to our attention, I welcome Ms. Parrish. Please send us a parcel number. We'll look into it. That would be a new item. We'll be happy to address it. And then it'll be part of whatever the consultant renders at a later date. So the others from Steve and Steve Brightcruz, David, is I appreciate the low taxes. Fairness as it pertains to the fire assessment is what we're waiting for, and we shall be receiving that shortly. And that'll be all part of public record. Okay. Is that all right,
right.
Mayor?
Yep.
So we can move into the second half, final budget, second public hearing. And as Andy and Keith mentioned, that second go round will be on Tuesday, the 29th. It's the 29th. Yes, 6 p.m. Tuesday, September 29th at 6 p.m. Okay, so I'm giving it back to Rich.
Great, thank you, Marty. Thank you again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Town Council members, and Town Administrator. We will go over the final budget adoption again, which has no changes compared to the first public hearing on September 14th, 2020. Where do the funds come from? This slide will discuss the general fund revenues and where they come from. We currently have $13,315,023 in our proposed budgeted revenues. As you can see, a majority, or $6,315,887, or 47% of the revenue, come from our ad valorem property revenue. Special assessment revenue of $2,686,284, or 20%. This is the fire assessment. Franchise and utility taxes of $1,849,926 or 14%, and permits and licensing 9%, round out the third and fourth largest components where the revenue is derived from. The next slide is where do the funds go? This slide will discuss the general funds expenditures and where they're derived from. We currently have the same $13,315,023 in the proposed budget expenditures, the same as we did in the revenues. As you can see, a majority, or $7,120,694, or 53% of these expenses go towards the public safety, which is our contractual obligation for the fire and the Davie Police, for the Davie Fire and the Davie Police. The next large expense is the general government, or $2,526,160, or 20%, which consists of our finance, executive, legal, engineering, pros, and a few other departments. We also have general fund transfers of $1,812,305, which constitute 14%, which round out the three largest components of where our expenses are derived from. Next slide is we have our general budget assumptions for fiscal year 2020, 2021. Our summary document, which is our proposed 2021 proposed budget. We want to keep rates as low as possible while meeting costs, no additional borrowing. And we have conservative projections for our revenues and expenses under a COVID-19 pandemic environment. And lastly, we will maintain service levels while addressing council policies as well as priorities. Here we have our funded program modifications. There are 12 of these in total. We have a website redesign and ADA compliance. We have a council chambers camera, town vehicle replacement program, town hall exterior repainting, town of Southwest Ranches. We have a 20th year anniversary. That was hopefully moved to fiscal year 21. We can still have it. Townwide parks, maintenance and exterior building painting, and comprehensive plan update, data inventory and analysis, and the school zone beacon replacement. The last four of our program mods are for our volunteer fire department safety equipment. And please note that these all have no millage impact. We have our fire apparatus replacement program, a fire AED replacement program, a fire hose replacement program, and the 12th and last one is the bunker gear replacement program. We have now our funded capital improvement projects. Note that there are 7 in total here. Please note also that the first 4 here have no millage impact. There are firewalls replacement and installation, our fire safety modular protective awnings, progress on frontier trails conservation, and town hall complex safety, drainage, and mitigation improvements. The last CIPs are our transportation projects. They include the drainage improvement project, the drainage improvement, the surtax projects, which have no millage impact. And the 7th one is our pavement, striping, and marking. Here we have our budget process of events. We started out on Thursday, July 30th, 2020 for our preliminary and initial fire and solid waste assessment adoption. And now we are culminating in our final budget hearing today, September 20th, 2020, and our second public hearing for our final millage and budget adoption. That's all I have. So public, back to you, Mayor, for public comments and questions. And
It's September 24th.
I'm sorry, September 24th.
Okay. Any public out there? We need a motion and a second first?
I'll make a motion to approve, but first let me ask this question. Are we doing this again on the 29th? Or do we need to vote on it tonight?
Yes.
After how that's working?
Yes,
We'll do-
we do need to vote on this tonight. It was advertised and needs to be debated, voted upon. Then we'll incorporate by reference any comments and the vote at the next meeting for a formal final ratification.
Thank you for clarifying, Keith. Yeah, so anyway, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
There are no
Okay,
hands up, Mayor.
no hands up. Okay. All right, call the question.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm actually, I just got 2 texts from people saying they have their hand up.
Russell?
They're not hitting star 6 because I don't have any hands up on my screen. Everybody can see it. Now somebody just
One hand just went up.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll call on that person. Ms. Parrish, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, the folio number that I'm inquiring about is 504026010010, which is just to the east of the town hall. That's the folio I'm inquiring about. And the other thing is, I take it as an affront that I'm trying to be, and the public is trying to be bamboozled with the way that the staff is trying to massage the budget presentation. Because I looked at the tax bill from 2015, and I looked at my tax bill today, and I looked at the fees I paid in 2015 and the fees I paid today. Well, the fees from 2015 are $475.12 higher than I paid in 2015 for fire, garbage, and bulk. And then if you look at the taxes, the fact of it is you've just shifted the numbers from one place to the other. But the presentation on the millage was a fraud. And I don't like that. But the other thing is, what my concern is, you can, I believe, if you can ask your attorney, but I believe you can defer voting on your final budget because it may not be advertised correctly. And then you can defer it to the vote on next Tuesday without voting on it tonight. But I think it's upsetting to say, oh, this isn't the time, or we don't have time to go into this, when in fact, the committee said no person who had lived in a residential home, we didn't care the size of the structure, the type of the structure, was supposed to be charged anything more than $629.14. And we were unanimous in it. We were unanimous. We would all pay between $51 and $53 more in order for that to be accomplished. I mean, I don't know if this is bait and switch, but as a resident of the town, I've had it. I mean, I think you're all reasonably nice people, but who's reading these numbers and who's looking back? I ask each one of you to go look at your own taxes in 2015 and your own fees and see if in fact you really think you're lowering our taxes. Because the fact is, yours are no different than mine. We're paying more money. Thank you. And I'd like to know when Mr. Sherwood would answer my question so that the public who's listening tonight can find out why the business next door to Town Hall is only paying $629.14, or maybe it's 12, I forgot. But anyway, and that's not a house on there. That's not even classified a residence. And then the other people who have homes are being charged the $629.14 plus $4,400 extra dollars. It's a ripoff, and it's not right, and it's not fair. And somebody needs to answer our question publicly.
Mayor, we're at the 2:50 mark. We're not going to call on the next speaker, Mayor.
Yeah, next speaker.
Okay, the next speaker, Mayor, is David Kaczynski. Mr. Kaczynski, can you hear me?
Certainly. All right. Just want to follow up that the United States Constitution has the 14th Amendment, which the Equal Protection Clause guarantees that no person or group will be denied protection under the law that is enjoyed by similarly situated groups. The fact that this fire assessment fee is being disproportionately applied among the properties in the town Just sounds like it's a disparate treatment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. Mayor, we have no other speakers.
All right, back to us.
What's that?
Call the question.
Okay, Councilmember Amundson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you all. And in response again to Ms. Parrish, I promise, you have my word, we will research that as a team with that parcel where we have been researching any cases found specifically, and we'll let her know. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got 10 minutes to the next meeting.
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. So you want to
Russell,
just,
do we stay on this link or is there a new link?
The same link. Keith. We can just pause the recording and maybe put everybody on mute
okay,
until,
stop video and pause it and we'll come back at 7.
yep, sounds good.
What I understand, they had a lengthy discussion on exactly what they were going to do to make sure that each and every ballot was properly turned in and read. They went through a mock election. They had 80 machines there from different precincts that we're going out to. And at the end of the hour period that they did the election in, every single machine came up to the exact numbers and the exact readings that they had on their master sheet. So I found that very interesting. And they're sending out 250,000 ballots came in, and they're processing those now. So I think that the election center is doing all they can do to assure that this election is going to be a good election. And again, I'm Jim Albritton running for District 3 Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albritton. Okay, Mayor, the next speaker is David Kaczynski. Mr. Kaczynski, can you hear us?
I certainly can. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have 3 minutes, sir.
All right. Good evening, Council. David Kaczynski, 6411 Holity Trail. As everybody knows, I am the Keep It Rural candidate for District 4. Learned today that the ballots for the election are being put in the mail as of today. So mail-in ballots should be in homes very soon. I ask you to support my candidacy. Now, I did some research on past minutes of the council, and looking back to August 10, 2017, during council member comments, and about halfway through, I'm going to read from these minutes. Councilmember Jablonski distributed a handout which compared the property tax revenue received from commercial parcels and residential parcels within the town. He believed that the difference between the two revenue streams was minimal and therefore supported restricting commercial development. Councilmember Schroeder believed that the town was actually losing money when the property was undeveloped. Vice Mayor Bray Cruz opined that while the one-time revenues from commercial development would exceed that of residential development, he believed that the cost to serve the commercial development would exceed that of residential development annually. He felt that Councilmember Jablonski's analysis served as a great reminder that the town was formed to protect open space and the rural lifestyle. Councilmember Fisickelli felt that the people were attracted to develop in the town because of our unique character and felt that it was more valuable than commercial tax-based revenue. So that goes to the whole core of my campaign to keep it rural. I'm the Keep It Rural candidate. Now, during the debate, there was a little comment that came out where my name was disparaged by my opponent, saying I was a, quote, liar. I brought up the town council special meeting of August 20, 2019. And if you go into that video, beginning at about 1 hour and 20 minutes, Ms. Schroeder did attempt to abstain from voting regarding the barn fire tax, where once again, the ag community was being hit with an unfair tax. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. The next speaker, Mayor, is Steve Breakers. Mr. Breakers, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yes, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to thank once again Maddie Sullivan, who did an amazing job at the candidates night. It was a great opportunity to hear the candidates and to talk back and forth. And I encourage everybody to listen to that, the recording of that night. I think it was very telling. And so if anybody needs a copy of that, please contact me and I can send that on to you or send you the link. The other thing that I needed to touch on was it's come to my attention that the mayor has been intimidating and harassing some of my supporters who formerly supported him and now are supporting me, sending them, calling them up, sending them text messages, stopping by, sending friends to stop by, apparently stopping by and calling the town attorney while he's there. This is totally unacceptable. This is outrageous. And Mayor, I see you sitting there pretending like you don't know what I'm talking about. I'll be happy to tell you what I'm talking about. And this has to stop. This has to stop. It's not right. It's not what our town is all about. We should be above that. Our ranchers are tough. They're going to make up their choice and they're going to make up their individual choices. And all the intimidation and all the harassment is not going to change their mind. So, you know, present your case. I'll present my case, but there's no room for this kind of intimidation in our town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brightcruz. Okay, the next speaker, Mayor, is Kate Chapels. Ms. Chapels, can you hear us? Ms. Chapels, can you hear us?
Might have to go check on her mic.
There you go.
Okay, there she is.
Hello.
There you go. We can hear you.
Well, if you're in the building, you can hear me.
We hear you on Zoom.
Well, first of all, I want anybody that's on here to know that I'm back, and no, nobody has terrorized me that I won't speak. The next thing is, I'm amazed and appalled that you people are using this thing as a political venue. And you haven't heard anything about what you're going to do for this town. And I'm so sick, I could throw up protecting my rural lifestyle. What a bunch of bullshit. I'm looking at having my rights taken away from me, and none of you give a damn. I'm pissed. And you better read Facebook, because I'm on Facebook and I'm going to really cut loose unless you people start telling us what you're going to do, not all this other junk about wah, wah, wah. You're running for office and you're using our meeting to campaign. It may not be legal. I mean, you may be legal, but it's immoral. This is a town meeting. It's supposed to be talking about the town and what you're doing and what you're supposed to be doing. If we have a complaint, then we should be telling you about it and not campaigning. So I'm back. Start looking at Facebook. I'm going to put a punch list out.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay, anyone
Chapels.
else?
Okay, Mayor, that's the last of the public speakers.
Okay, any news on how close Vice Mayor Dee Schroeder is?
I believe she's in the building.
She's here. They can't hear me.
Okay. Good. All right, so we're done with public comment. And any board reports?
I see no one raised for board reports, Mayor.
Can't respond.
Okay. Council member comments then.
Here we go.
I'll go first.
Go right ahead, Gary.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank everybody for tuning in. Usually I'm pretty short, don't have a lot on the calendar, but I would like to go over several things, and if everybody will indulge me. First off, I want to set the record straight. We have an election coming up. People are asking me all kinds of different things, and some things are not true, and et cetera. And I just want to set just a minor few seconds here. One is that I'm endorsing Jim Albritton for the District 3 seat. And that's the only endorsement I'm giving out. I'm supporting both candidates for mayor. I'm to let the residents decide who they want for mayor. I'm probably the only person in town who has both signs on their fence right next to each other. I'm looking at more at it as a public service announcement than anything else. I know some people here may disagree with that, but you know, I live in America. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that, and that's all I'm going to say about the election. I have something just to give everybody a heads up. Later on in the meeting, we have a discussion item coming up, and I just want to give everybody a heads up that I have something prepared for that, and I'll go into it at that time. The other thing I want to mention is the fire board. We've got a real situation going on with that we need to address. The total fire fee hasn't gone up in terms of, it's gone up, but it hasn't gone up in terms of we're charging some people more and some people less. It's a finite number, and it's the allocation that's concerning me on that. And I would like to go over that with Andy and Marty later on in the week so that we can properly address this. If we need to reconvene the board with the consultant, if we need to reassess the methodology where we switch from effort to what it currently is now. And I also want to look at what the scope of the fees are. And that's more of a Marty question than anything else. How many properties are affected where the fees have suddenly gone up thousands of dollars? It didn't happen last year or the year before. I'd like to know some of those answers in the near future. This obviously isn't anything we're going to do tonight, and but I think we need to move forward with that to properly address the problems. The last thing I want to go over is a lot of residents, I say a lot, some of my neighbors have asked me continuous questions concerning trailers in our town. And I did some research, and Russell, I have something prepared. Could you pull it up on the screen? I want everybody to see it as I go through it. Everybody will bear with me here for a second. I call this a trailer memo.
Just give me 1 second. I'm working on getting that up for you.
Okay, basically what I've done is several of my neighbors who are equestrian oriented have asked me questions about horse trailers and trailers in general. So I researched the code and came up with some plain English explanations as to how the trailers are, how it affects us in every day, whether it's a boat trailer, horse trailer, or a utility trailer. And as you can see, this is the code 045030. This is the one that we use every day, and it's available for public inspection at any time. You can look it up. But then I went on to go down to if you could scroll down to the bottom. Thank you very much. These are some talking points that I took out of that, and I would like everybody to listen to them. This is the existing town code, and it may go back to the original incorporation of the town, which originally came from Broward County Code. So this wasn't anything we made up yesterday. So I want to be real clear on that. The second thing is, if a property has an agricultural exemption, any equestrian trailer kept on the exempt property has no regulation other than what the state and county requires, such as a valid license plate, trailer lighting, things of that nature that make it roadworthy. The third item, all non-ag properties in Southwest ranches that have any equestrian trailers on their property must be registered to the property owner or its leaseholder. The fourth item, A non-ag equestrian property, total capacity of equestrian transports shall not exceed the number of stables or horses kept on the property. Horses need not be present at the time. Obviously, if they're at a show in Wellington or in Plantation Acres, and the trailer is being kept on the property here, this said that would apply. 5, commercial landscape trailers are illegal in the town except for a resident-owned business, and they may have up to 2 take-home vehicles/trailers. Item 6, marine, utility, cargo, work, equestrian trailers, etc., must be registered to the property owner or its leaseholder if kept on the property. Only if non-ag property. Horse trailers may also be boarders at a stable. Any trailer may not be stored on town right-of-way and easements. Okay, that's been reviewed by our legal team, by our administrative team, and by code enforcement. So all of those apply. So and I wanted to make all that public so that everybody understands it. And this memo is available. Obviously, it's up here on the screen. You can get it, or you can take it now down, Russell, if you wish. It is available on the YouTube channel. That's why we had put it up here. And if you email me or you email Russell and you want a copy of it, we'll be happy to send you the digitalized copy of it. That's not a problem. So I just hopefully this will clarify some of the questions that I was getting from my neighbors, and it'll add a little bit of clarity to the town in general as to, if you have ag, you can put a trailer on it. There's no, it's no regulation on that. And I just wanted to impress that upon most of the people, because the people that were asking me the questions do have ag, and I wanted to research it. And there was a couple more of their neighbors that didn't have ag who were thinking about it and wanted the questions answered also. So hopefully I've cleared all that up in a very public way and can assist people in what they have going on. And so anyway, that's all I wanted to say, Mayor, at this point.
Okay. Who'd like to go next?
I'll go. I'll be brief.
Go ahead, Bob.
I wanted to try to resolve a concern that a couple of people called me on after the debate. One of the participants in the debate spent a lot of time talking about the volunteer fire department. And the reason people called me was there was information given out that wasn't accurate. The claim was made that our volunteers can administer basic life support, can administer advanced life support, ALS. And that's not accurate. There's 2 components that are necessary for a firefighter to provide advanced. And first off, all of our firefighters are both basic and advanced life support certified. So they're all certified, but they can't conduct advanced life support activities, trying to save people, unless there is a ambulance or fire truck that is certified as advanced life support. So they can't do it out of the back of their car. They can't do it on a regular fire truck that is set up purposefully only for putting out fires. It has to be, that vehicle has to be certified as an advanced life support vehicle. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I was just going to let it go because we've heard some of these things before, but somebody called me and said, should we wait for Davey to show up for any kind of medical service? And the answer is no. If the volunteers show up ahead of Davey, they can do basic life support. That's CPR. That's those types of things. I mean, if it's a blocked airway, they can go to work on that. There's a lot of things they can do. You wouldn't want to wait. You're losing valuable time. Now, whether it's our volunteer fire department or the Davie Fire Department, they all work under the same Davie Fire Director, medical director. And he is the one who prescribes the procedures and certifies and makes sure that both fire departments are following the guidelines. So, our guys are certified and capable, and they know that they can't conduct any advanced life support activities until Davy shows up. Now, if they're already doing basic life support, there have been numerous instances where they will jump into the ambulance and continue working with Davy. As long as they're in a certified vehicle, no problem. So I just wanted to put that out there because it kind of scared me when somebody said, should we wait? We should never be putting our life at risk over something like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Who'd like to go next? Delsa? Go ahead, Delsa.
Yeah, I think I did have a lot to say about BLS and ALS, and I don't think I confused a thing, so it can't be me you're discussing.
No.
The other thing is too, is that, you know, I'm new at this, and I was chosen by the entire council to take the seat of Freddie Fiskelli with his passing and to fill it. And I was honored at that moment, and to an extent I still am. I do have to say that it has been an eye-opening experience as someone who was very much involved in the beginning of getting this town started, fighting with Broward County, being told by a Broward County commissioner at that time that I was selfish for wanting my own town. And now that commissioner lives in this town and wants to make comments every time. I got to tell you, I've learned a lot. I've lived here since the mid-70s, and I was impressed, not because I knew anybody on this council, but because there are people on this council, the mayor and the vice mayor, we don't see eye to eye all the time, never have. But there is something that I know about the mayor and the vice mayor, and that is that they are honest and upfront with me. I also know that they, like I do, love this town. I have learned there are people who are not honest and upfront with me. I know now who they are. And it's really very sad because this body, this council, although we're on computers right now, when we sit on a dais, we should have respect for the people, the residents of this town, of which I am one. I'm also a taxpayer in this town. And don't forget that for a single minute. But we owe the people of this town, whomever might be watching or going to watch or participating, respect. And that starts with respecting the people on the dais. And I mean, not to take them and besmirch them in front of people. If you want to go out and sit on the back of your truck at the public shopping center and besmirch people and have your own comments, go for it. But don't embarrass yourselves by being on this dais and saying things that never can be unsaid. I'm running for this seat. I think Freddie would approve of that. I don't know for sure because he and I are not speaking to one another at this moment. But I have a lot of friends in the town. I've met a lot of people in the town. I know there are rumors in this town. I can't believe what some people think that they've been told. But this town has a lot of residents. Not all are ag. And when I hear someone talk about the little acre, excuse me, the little acre, I've been in real estate for 36 years, and I've sold builder's acres. That's 35,000 square feet. Okay. I've sold acres, 43,560. I've sold multiple acres, 10 acres, but I've never looked down on the little guy with 1 acre. You know, just that little acre. I'm really very upset with those people who talk the way they talk and they want to sit on this dais without respecting the people on it, without having enough respect for the people living in this town. And by that, I mean the taxpayers of this town. When someone isn't paying taxes, the rest of us are. I'm just sorry that if you want to vote for me, I want your vote. I don't need your money. And I will represent you every day of every year. And I will do it honestly. I'll do it up front. I don't hide. And I don't lie to you. And I don't pretend, as the people who did in the very beginning of this meeting, that they all just got on and just said what they had to say. What a coordinated effort. I was president of a flight attendant union for 7.5 years, negotiated contracts with the best of them. I learned really quickly as a flight attendant who the terrorists were. I got your number. So I'll do what Mr. Albritton did, and Gary doesn't want to vote for me. That's fine, but I'm running. And I appreciate anyone's vote who wants to give it, but I don't appreciate disrespect on this council. You have to work with people every day. Don't have to agree with them. Don't ever have to agree with them, but you damn well better be honest with them. Otherwise you lose everything. And that last meeting left me nonplussed. Still does to a certain extent. And you can look the word up if you don't know what it is. But anyway, I hope, council members, that you can close your eyes and fall asleep tonight knowing that you've done yourself some disservice in some ways. And I'm finished. Thank you.
Dee, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council, everybody. First, let me start out by saying we teach our kids at an early age not to be bullies. And I stick by that. I hope at time when my daughter starts to have children, she teaches them that. I've taught my grandkids that. To take and ridicule and belittle other people to make yourself look good is truly a pathetic act. I want no part of that. I won't get in the mud and grovel with you all. But on a lighter note, I hope everyone had a nice week. The COVID numbers in South Florida are starting to drop nicely, and I'm thankful for everything being done to control this pandemic. I've had the opportunity to speak to at least another 500 residents, and the two biggest issues on their minds are taxes and trash pickup. Most of these they were incredibly happy to learn that the town's portions of their taxes was going to be the lowest in 5 years. It's not a gimmick. It's not phony, it's real. And Andy, I'd like to ask you if you can get with Waste Pro and get on them a little bit, it would be appreciated. Some of you know my daughter is getting married in a few weeks, so I appreciate all the well wishes that have come in. I'm very grateful for that. Although not relevant, a few residents have recently asked me about my teeth. It's a sore subject, but as many of you know, I'm a cancer survivor. And unfortunately, the chemo that I went through took a large toll on it. But my dentist is working diligently to make everything good. And I'm just waiting. Earlier this week, David Kaczynski posted on Facebook that some of his supporters were threatening if he had his signs out there. Like David always does, he failed to give names or real information. First and foremost, I do not always condone anyone acting in this manner. I can't believe anybody would threaten someone over a sign. I mean, that's just heinous. I have taken the initiative. I've called the police. I've asked them to fully investigate this matter. Once again, David failed to give them the information as to who was being threatened. And without that information, the police cannot properly perform an investigation. So to confirm my statement, I have a few questions for PD. Are they on, Andy?
Yes, Vice Mayor. Captain Isla is on the line and she's unmuted.
Okay. Do you want all the questions at one time or should we do one at a time?
You can do one at a time. Vice
Okay.
Mayor.
Are you aware of David Kaczynski's Facebook post?
The one from a couple of days ago about the allegations that some of his supporters have been threatened?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the police department did question David about that post, correct?
I had a conversation with David and I explained to him that if there was a victim of such a thing, we need to speak to them. If there is a victim of a crime, we cannot take a report from David himself, if that was the case.
But David did refuse to answer who was threatened.
David did not provide the name of the person that was threatened.
Okay. Is there any way we can force David to tell us who was threatened?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Since he refuses to cooperate, is it correct that there is nothing we can do to further this investigation?
Correct.
So he's free to post whatever he would like.
His post stated that some of his supporters or one of his supporters were threatened. And he was telling his supporters that if anyone came into their property, it was their right to tell them to leave their property and to call 911.
Right.
That is not seen as a threat or crime or anything of the sort. Merely.
Okay, I have the Facebook thing and it says some. That usually tells me it's more than one.
Right.
Okay. As a result, I ask everyone, if you feel you're being threatened by anybody in any way, shape, or form, for whatever reason, you don't hesitate to call the police. And I would hope that this incident will help to prevent future false Facebook accusations. And I believe that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I also explained to him that he was to notify anyone that comes in contact with him that tells him that anyone has threatened him, that they should be contacting us directly so that we can file an investigation or follow up on the investigation and not merely, we can't follow up investigations via Facebook or social media post.
Okay. I would like to thank you very much for joining us tonight. I think you've been very helpful. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are you done? I guess it's my turn. Well, a couple of things. That was the first I've heard of Steve that somebody on my team or me has threatened someone. I'd sure like to know who that is and be informed of that, because not my demeanor in any way, shape, or form, never has been. So I'm a little shocked by that statement even coming out of Steve's mouth. But so I would be very curious to know who that is, or if they'd like to make a police report related to it or anything like that, because clearly not my demeanor. So other than that, I just, some of the stuff I'm hearing out there and whatnot is just absolutely ridiculous, but is what it is. It is campaign time and a little crazy. So I'm good with my comments. Let's go to legal comments. Keith, you're up to bat.
I have no comments, Mayor.
No comments. Okay. Mr. Burns, you're up to bat.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. You'll recall at last week's meeting, there was some discussion on solid waste, and Councilmember Hartman had brought up the issue and wanted me to look into some things. The Vice Mayor brought it up tonight as well. So if you'll indulge me for just a moment, let me bring you all up to speed with where we are. First, to start with, we are and have been aware of service deliveries with Waste Pro for some time. So I made the decision several months ago to transition that contract to Public Works. And I did that for two reasons. One was I thought it would be a good time to put fresh eyes on the contract. The second reason is garbage collection should be a Public Works function. It is in every other municipality but ours. And so it's time to put it in its rightful home. So we began internally to meet about 2 months ago on the transition. And recognizing that we had some issues, we expanded our customer service communications with Waste Pro, and we added more people to our team internally so that we could increase the communication with our residents and with Waste Pro. Rod Lay also began an in-depth review of the contract in anticipation of becoming the contract administrator. We increased our tracking of the issues and the locations with Waste Pro by keeping a detailed log in advance of discussions with them. So our efforts on the contract administration transition were severely impacted, as you can imagine. Emily Assetti was out for 12 weeks on maternity leave within that one department. Sandy has a personal issue that she's dealing with, as you know, and all that was still under the umbrella of the coronavirus at the same time as we deal with those impacts. So following the previous council meeting where the topic was brought up, we've had 2 further internal meetings. We are working towards establishing a GIS layer for our internal use in preparation of meeting with Waste Pro. This will allow us to, again, properly convey the detailed information, not anecdotal, the detail we need as we work to reestablish the expected standards of service, and so that we can document properly and impose any appropriate penalties. It has been very time intensive for staff over the past few weeks, but it is a critical step for us to establish the scope of the problem. So we will be setting a meeting with Waste Pro very soon. I'll say in the next week or so, depending on scheduling, so that we can begin to work on improving that service and establishing what the expected service levels are and getting them to live up to it. Now, as I mentioned, it's been time intensive for staff over the last few weeks. It is my expectation that the management of these issues will be delegated to Waste Pro, and so it's our plan to do so. But it did require an intensive effort up front to establish our current position, but we should not have to maintain that going forward. So the bottom line is service levels do not improve, penalties will be imposed, but I have every expectation that we'll see improvements in service as we go forward over the next weeks and months. So I just wanted to give you that update, and I'll keep you posted as we go forward as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Andy. All right, resolution number 8, please, Russell.
Okay, Mayor, this is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the issuance of a purchase order to All Florida Contracting Services in the amount of $14,895.00 for the Town Hall generator retrofit, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to execute the purchase and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any public comment on this matter? Anybody got their hand raised?
No. Sorry, my
No, I
ear
don't see
things aren't
anyone
working.
with their hands raised on this item, Mayor.
Okay, all right. Call the question.
Okay, Councilmember Amundson? No, I'm sorry, Mayor. We just had somebody raise their hand. It's up to you. Do you want me to
All right.
call them? Okay, Mr. Lasky. Can you hear us, sir?
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
hear you. You have 2 minutes.
For the last 40 years, I've dealt with every generator manufacturer in South Florida and some outside of South Florida. And I read a little bit about what you were doing there. You're using it's 2 transfer pumps, one from one tank to the other, and one from the other tank back to the main tank. Generally speaking, I'm talking up to a megawatt level they use four-way valve. Diesel engines take in a lot of diesel, and then they expel it back into the tank. So you've got an inflow and an outflow. And all you do is use four-way valves if you want to transfer fuel from one level to the next. Or in the case of a boat, which I had, we used the same valves to be able to trim the boat out. On a long haul, we might want to bury the bow, or we want to raise the bow. We did it all with valves. Sure, you can add a transfer pump, but you can also direct the same with one transfer pump. I've never heard of anybody using two transfer pumps on the same unit, or a transfer pump, hardly ever at all. So you might want to take that into consideration. Maybe your expert doesn't have that much experience with big engines and fuel tanks, but there's plenty of people that'll help you on that in the generator business if they just ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lasky. Mayor, we have no further speakers.
All right. Back to the council. Any comments? Seeing none, call the question.
Councilmember Amundson? Councilmember Amundson? You're on mute.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes, Mayor.
Number 9.
Number 9, Mayor, is a discussion item entitled Consideration of a Resolution to Publicly Censure Councilmember Bob Hartman for his conduct at the September 14, 2020 council meeting, submitted by Mayor Doug McKay.
Okay, so let me start out. As all of you are aware, at the last council meeting, Councilmember Hartman verbally attacked 3 council members in an ambush attack to publicly endorse town candidates for office. Mr. Hartman spent the next 15 minutes belittling 3 sitting council members in an attempt to make himself more superior. His conduct is not one that we should condone, and is one that is completely unbecoming of someone serving in public office. Mr. Hartman's comment shows a complete lack of decorum and cannot be tolerated by this council. Directly following this meeting, my phone was on fire. I think Fred Cox was the first to call. Fred told me that we needed to pass a resolution immediately to stop Bob's unethical and I fully agree with Fred, and as a result, I'm going to pass the gavel to D so that I can make a formal motion. So D, I'm passing you the gavel, and here's what I'd like. I move that we should bring back a resolution on the October 8th, 2020 agenda where we formally reprimand and censure Mr. Hartman for his conduct, and that we publish that resolution on a full page in both the town's newsletter and in the Sun Sentinel.
I second.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. I got a second. So I guess now you've got the gavel. So open it to public
Vice
comment.
Mayor, if I may just speak for a second, because I want to tell everyone legally who's on the line. We have Gary Resnick, who's another municipal attorney on video today, and let me explain why. When Councilmember Hartman asked if he could continue with his comments, I believe he had the absolute right legally to do so because the town does not have any regulations stating otherwise, and that it is his right as a council member under his freedom of speech and otherwise to be able to address the issues that he wanted to address. In addition to that, we also have to look at campaign finance laws, and I did not feel that anything that Councilmember Hartman did violated any campaign finance laws as well. which is why I had no issues with what he had to say. When I saw the item on the agenda today, I took it as if the mayor was disagreeing with my legal opinion, which is fine. He's entitled to do so. But as of that reason, I felt that there could be a potential conflict in this meeting. So I wanted to bring in another municipal attorney, Gary Resnick, to be able to answer any questions that the town could have in case anything comes up, because essentially what I allowed is being challenged today. So Gary's here, and I'm here if you have any further questions.
Gary, the floor is yours if you like.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor, council members. Just to introduce myself, I'm Gary Resnick. I'm with the law firm Gray Robinson. I've had the privilege of representing the town for many years on specific issues related to communications. And as Keith indicated, I have represented local governments for over 20 years in Florida, and I'm also elected official. I've been an elected official for 20 years, and I serve on the board of directors of both the Florida League of Cities and the National League of Cities. So to the extent that you're, yes, I thought someone was asking a question. To the and I hope you can hear me okay. To the extent that there's any questions as to the legality of the comments or consideration of the motion that's on the floor, I did do some research on this, and there is nothing in state law that provides that a local elected official gives up their First Amendment political speech rights when they become elected. Now, so there's nothing in state law that prohibits the type of comments that were made at the last meeting. There is in Chapter 112 a prohibition on soliciting public campaign funds in a public building, and so if there were a solicitation for campaign funds in any of the comments that were made, that would be illegal under 112 and could be a misdemeanor subject to criminal penalties, including removal from office. But that, I listened to the remarks that were made at the last meeting, and I did not hear a solicitation of funds. So there's nothing in state law that prohibits the type of remarks that were made. Certainly the town is able to adopt its own policies regarding statements at council meetings by both elected officials and by members of the public. And if that is adopted as a policy of the town can enforce that and stop folks from violating the town's policy. But as of right now, there is no town policy or any reference in the town charter with respect to campaign speech or political speech at public meetings. So I just wanted to give that information, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
May I?
All right, go right ahead.
Thank you, Gary.
Elsa.
I really don't have a question, but I do think that it would behoove the town council prospectively, obviously, because you cannot embarrass anyone any more than they've already embarrassed themselves. But in the future, I think it should be similar to what would happen if you were on the floor of the Congress of the United States and you took it upon yourself to slander a fellow member. Your words would most probably be stricken, and you would in fact be censured. I think that the town would do a great service to itself as the council could maybe show council members respect that would in fact be respectful of the people watching or partaking. But I think that for decorum and respect, perhaps prospectively, we should come up with something that would in fact require, at least while you're sitting in that chair. Now, like I said, you can go into Publix and sit on the back of your truck and say anything you want. But I think that while you're on the dais, you should owe respect to your fellow council members. Whether you like them or don't like them is not an issue. I just think respect and decorum should take precedent.
Okay.
May I go, Mayor?
Gary, go right ahead.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was two Garys. I was talking
Yes,
to
no,
Gary
that's all right.
Galassi.
Just
Sorry,
as a
Gary,
matter
I said-
of point of order, I think the vice mayor has the gavel now, but that's okay.
That is correct. I was going to chime in as well.
Okay, so do I get to say something or not?
Yeah, absolutely. But we're just going to address your comment to the chair, who's now Dee Schroeder.
Okay, Vice Mayor, may I speak?
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
Thank you. Okay, I have been working with Keith on a resolution. It kind of mirrors what Councilmember Delsa, excuse me, was talking about, and I want to put that forward for our next meeting. And basically, it addresses the rules, establishing additional rules. It's piggybacking on what we did a year ago with the in town hall when it comes to public speaking. And it establishes additional rules and policies for civility and decorum during town council meetings and town board meetings also, and during public comment at town council and board meetings. And I'd like to put that on the next agenda for us to consider. It's about 4 or 5 pages, and for us to discuss and look at. I really think that moving forward, and I'm just giving you my opinion right now, that's all this is, moving forward with a public censure will harm the town. I don't see any profit by doing that other than personal satisfaction of the 3 people and that are infected by that. And all 3 of you, I get it. I'd be pretty upset also. Okay, I get it. But I don't think this is the way to handle it with a public censure. I think it makes the town look bad. It makes us look bad. Those are my thoughts. And that's why I asked Keith to work on a resolution with me and put it forward for October. I don't know, Keith, if you want to mention anything or.
No, I think Councilmember Jablonski, you're correct. You asked me to work with you this week in drafting language so that the campaigning that has been seen, both council and public, can be regulated more by the council while still understanding the rights of freedom of speech. We looked at numerous ordinances across the state and in Broward County and came up with a draft that we sent to you, that you provided numerous comments on, and that's ready to be delivered to the council and to be placed on the next agenda for consideration. And under your rules of how to place an item on an agenda, you know, with there being no objection to do so, it can absolutely go forward for consideration.
Okay, thank you. So basically what I wanted to get back to, Doug, is I'm not in favor of this. I think it's going to it makes us look bad. It makes us look, you know, and I get the reason why you want to do it. Okay, I get that fully. And if I was sitting in your shoes, I may have a different opinion, but right now I'm not. But I think we need to establish some level of decorum when it comes to the board meetings, the council meetings, et cetera. I've got nothing against a 30-second blurb about, hey, I'm running or this or that, or I'm supporting so-and-so, and that's it. But, you know, it's 30 seconds, a minute tops, you know, that kind of thing, where it's, which is what we've done in the past, and in past council meetings and in past elections. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. But I think the motion that's on the table right now, Vice Mayor, I'm not in support of that. I think it really does more harm than good, to be real honest with you. So I'm not in support of that. I just want to let you guys know that up front why. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor, if I may.
Yes. Do you want the gavel back? I don't really need it.
No, not yet. I don't think, because this isn't completed, I don't think. So, Keith, I have a question for you, or Gary Resnick, either one of you, if not both. If we would like to bring back two resolutions, the one that I'm asking for and the one Gary's asking for, and address it on October 8th meeting at that time. What's everybody's thought here on making them both come back and we decide at that time?
Legally, that there's nothing that would prohibit this. That's not really a legal question. You can bring two resolutions forward and debate them if you have the majority of the council agreeing with your item tonight.
All right, so basically we need to vote on my motion to see if that one happens. Is that what we need to do first?
On your item, the way it's written on the agenda, yes, you would have to publicly debate it, have a vote to see whether or not it goes forward. So we would recommend that you open it up to the public for comment as well.
Okay, well, that's on D.
Can I just make a comment here? First, I'd like to say, hello, Gary, how are you? I had an opportunity to speak to your code officer, Julio, today. So the idea of bringing them both back appeals to me. I think we're all heated. Far be it for me to take anybody's First Amendment rights away, because I wouldn't want mine taken away. There was a lot of anger, and I think it was more of the delivery on how it was done. It just was very hurtful, and I'm not quite sure if I'm over it. I know Gary Jablonski is our peacemaker. He's always our happy medium, and I like that. I think it's a good thing for somebody to always keep us, on our feet and keep us stable. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring both of those motions back after we've had a little more time to think about it.
May I?
Thank you for those kind words, Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor, may I say, yeah. Well, I could say, blessed are the peacemakers, or maker. And my mother used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that is the object. I'm new at this, so I don't think I've been around here long enough to really get the disdain that I've been given. But in any event, I'm not objecting to what Gary suggests either, because I think that prospectively there needs to be something that makes sure that council members are respectful of one another while sitting in the seats or watching themselves on Zoom. And also, by way of that, respectful of the residents of the town who have the fortune or misfortune to be watching and listening at that time. So I would like to see them both come back. I don't know if there's a way to withdraw one and insert the other, that reworded in some way. Like I
I think we
said.
just vote on this and
Well, one more thing I'd like to add in there, if I may. I would like to see this trickle down to all the advisory boards. They're put there for a purpose. They're not put there to run political venues and promote candidates or that's not their job. Their job is to do the job at hand. And I don't think it's necessary that they have to open it up to campaign stuff. That's not what they're there for. So I'd like to see it go to the advisory boards also.
Oh, yeah, I would think it should be the town and the decorum. I mean, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If it's good for the people at the meeting, if they're in person, then it should be good for all. So yes.
Vice Mayor, if I may, that is included in the resolution I'm proposing, is all town advisory board meetings.
Okay.
So just one comment from a legal standpoint, I should point out the Florida Supreme Court and actually the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld an appropriate local government rules and procedures for the management and conduct of their meetings. They understand that meetings can get out of hand, if if there's no rules of procedure. And so local governments are legally able to establish such policies and procedures for the conduct of not only their own meetings, but also the meetings of their advisory boards.
Thank you, Gary.
All right.
Dee,
I guess you need to open it up to the public, Dee.
I'd like to open it up to the public at this time. Possible?
Okay, Vice Mayor, I don't see anybody at this moment that has their hands raised to speak on this particular issue.
All right. If not, do we want to call the question or hear from council?
Someone has
You're
raised
in.
their hand. Vice Mayor, someone has just raised their hand. I see actually two people now that have raised their hand on this issue. Would you like me to call on them?
Sure.
Okay, the first speaker is David Kaczynski. Mr. Kaczynski, can you hear us?
I certainly can. Good evening. The only words of caution that I have to avoid something that's content-based, a form of content-based regulation here, because a government regulation that implicates political speech generally receives strict scrutiny in the courts. That means that the government, meaning the town, must show that the law is narrowly tailored to achieve the compelling government interest. And you really got to identify what is the compelling government interest. And, you know, if it's political speech, you really got a high threshold. You go back to my wife. She and her daughter both came from Cuba. They had restrictions on what could be said down there, and it just sounds like it could be crossing a line in what the communists did. So I think that if it's political speech, it should be opened up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. The next speaker, Vice Mayor, is Debbie Green. Ms.
Okay.
Green, can you hear us?
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 2 minutes.
I just think you need to be really careful, and I think it, just to repeat what Gary said, I don't think the town wants to go in that direction. I don't think you want to start limiting people's freedom of speech. And, you know, if personal feelings are hurt, that, you know, maybe, you know, what Gary suggests in his, what he's worked on with Keith is something to look at the next meeting. But as far as passing this motion that was made tonight, I think it would be looked on horribly by the town. I don't think that puts this town in a good light in any way, shape, or form. So while I get that some people's feelings were hurt, I don't think a motion should be made for a personal benefit to a few instead of looking out for the best interest of the town as a whole and what this town stands for. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Green. The next speaker, Vice Mayor, excuse me, is Gay Chapels. 1 second here. Let me call on her. Ms. Chapels, can you hear us?
Give me a second.
You're there. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
First of all, these are elected officials that the town put in office to represent us. And we're poorly represented when one of them chooses to bully and name call and attack 3 other seated council people. I don't know how you're going to stop the person other than get them out of office. If you don't like what they're doing, you vote them out of office. You're talking about their rights to do this. I don't want to sit through a meeting and listen to that kind of stuff. I want to sit through a meeting and listen to intelligent people discuss what the problems are in the town and how they're going to solve it. If I knew that that was going to be a political attack for 20 minutes, I would have not watched you. I mean, this is insane. You're either going to be political and you're going to use it as a political platform, which you've done all night tonight, or you're going to turn around and you're going to say, We're here to serve the people. And that's the whole purpose of this, is to serve the residents of this town. We have a lot of issues. We have a lot of bullying in this town, by the way, that's going on. I'm going to start addressing it. I'm back. So stay tuned to Facebook. You're going to be surprised. I got the facts. I got the proof. So we got some major problems, and it isn't protecting our rural lifestyle, folks. Dykes Road may be 4-laned. Why? Because Laurie Parish blanketed that area with rural estates, 1-acre home sites. If they had left it alone, Cess's would have been 2.5-acre sites. And you know what? They're going to approve those 1-acre home sites there, because I've already talked to our planner. And then they're going to find out that the zoning is gone and we're chopped liver. I'm going to be on a 4-lane divided highway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chapels. Okay, Mayor, the last speaker that we have, Vice Mayor, I apologize, keep doing that. The last speaker is Jim Lasky. Mr. Lasky, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm very disturbed to hear that this kind of stuff went on. I have no idea what anybody said, but I can't believe it's that important to allow it to get to this point. Somehow somebody's got to say time out and just take a deep breath, because it does make us look bad. I mean, you know, I've made a few mistakes myself. It doesn't look good. So think about that. Let's not make a big deal out of this, because it will reflect negatively, and we don't need that at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lasky. We have one other speaker, Vice Mayor, and that is Stephen Braycruz. Mr. Braycruz, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I just wanted to say that I know some of these comments that Councilmember Hartman said were in benefiting myself. So I felt it appropriate that I make a comment here. I do feel that that if the shoe were on the other foot, that if the comments were made to other individuals' benefits, you know, there might be not so much excitement about presenting such a censure as this. I don't think this looks good for our town. I think it is appropriate, as Councilmember Jablonski said, that that we should have some rules. We should have some decorum that people understand ahead of time. But to do something like this when there were no rules, when Bob checked with the attorney and the attorney gave him the green light, said it was perfectly okay, to go after the fact and make these types of motions is inappropriate. But as I said, I think that it is appropriate to have some rules there, so long as they don't go too far, so long as they don't get in the way of people expressing their opinions. But it is important that there is a level of decorum there. But I have to wonder if the shoe was on the other foot, if the same passion would be there to do a censure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Braycruz. Okay, Vice Mayor, there's no other speakers waiting to speak.
I'd just like to say, we might not have the rules, but there's a common courtesy. Most of us out here have been friends for 20+ years, and all these ugly politics are going to get in the way, distort everything, and make it look ugly. And like I said, Delsa said, it's maybe in the delivery and how it was done. You know, it's just totally unacceptable. Out of everything we've heard tonight, we haven't really heard from Bob. Bob, would you like to say something?
If we're going to go over this in the next meeting, I'll reserve my comments.
Okay. He's a bully. Okay.
Call the question.
Call the question.
Okay, so just, I want to make sure I have the motion correct. So the motion is to bring a resolution forth at the next meeting on October 8th to possibly censure Bob Hartman, and also publish the censure in the Sun Sentinel if the resolution is approved.
Yes.
And also to bring forward, I think Councilmember Jablonski requested that we also bring forward a companion resolution, if you will, to address a decorum policy in the town.
Okay, you want me to read it to you again or no? Just so you have it.
No, I think you just did.
Is that not what it was, the motion?
No,
Well,
that's what it
similar,
is.
you left a little bit out.
Okay.
Formally reprimanding.
Okay,
So I'll repeat it. I move that we should bring back a resolution on the October 8th, 2020 agenda where we formally reprimand and censure Mr. Hartman for his conduct, and that we publish that resolution on a full page in both the town's newsletter and in the Sun Sentinel.
okay, thank you.
And what about Gary's? Gary, you want to read yours again?
Well, my
Yours
motion,
is being drawn up, I think.
yeah, it's going to be drawn up and put on there as a,
Okay.
it doesn't need to be voted on. What I'm, next October, I mean, next meeting, that's when we'll, pick it apart.
Okay.
This one needs to be voted on. His does not.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Amundson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
No,
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
and Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
okay.
We have one other item to
I
discuss.
just, Mayor, I just want to thank Gary Resnick for his time. Gary will also be present at the next meeting because again, I don't want to appear as a potential conflict because I okayed his comments. So thank you, Gary, and we'll see you next meeting. And now Mayor is back
Thank you.
to chair the meeting.
Mayor, I have a question. Maybe
Go ahead.
it's for Russell. Maybe it's for Russell. Maybe it's for you. Are we bringing up Mr. Jablonski's issue
His is
also?
coming back. His is coming back.
Yeah, I mean, did we
next
have to
meeting.
vote on that or bring that up or no?
Under
No.
your ordinance, he could bring an item forward. He just has to announce it and submit it. He's done so, so that item will be forward as well.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Approval of minutes for August 13th, 2020, regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Anybody got their hand raised? Because we've been corrected before.
No, I don't see anybody with their hands raised, Mayor.
Okay. Call the question, please.
Councilmember Amundson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0. Before we get Councilmember Jablonski's motion, I'll just interrupt for a quick second. Town Attorney Polykoff, do we want to adjourn this meeting or do we want to recess this meeting?
You know, it can adjourn, Russell, and we'll just start on Tuesday. I thought about whether or not we should have tabled the budget and just readopted, but it was proper what we did tonight, and we'll just on Tuesday night just do a motion of reconsideration, open it and close it, and that's it.
Okay, very well. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Go ahead, Gary.
Hey, thank you very much. Everybody have a great night. A motion to adjourn.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.